right. Hey, welcome, folks. It's going to be your SITREP. It is 5/15/2025. Coming to you live from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. And today we're going to be getting into a multitude of different things. We're going to look closer at Trump's trip to the Middle East and what fruit that has been producing, looking at some very obvious things when we look at the flights and the traces with respect to Israel and the fact that he's not going there. So we'll get into that a little bit. We're also going to talk about what's the latest with the Iran deal as well as the Russia and Ukraine peace deal. Will they actually get any traction here? Time will tell. I don't know that this is going to produce anything either, but we're going to talk to it a little bit more. And then we've got some big busts here happening around the United States, and I'm going to show you that tied to the Intel flights, okay? Now, before we get started, I just want to take you over here to our friends at the Satellite Phone Store. They are the sponsor for this show today. And you jump over to sat123.com. That's sat123.com, or just go to this QR code right here beside me. Got some exclusive deals for the monkey community. You can get the Starlink with an adjustable pole mount. And I will tell you, these things are game changers. The one that I have is a Starlink Mini on the go. This thing is absolutely, you want to have this. If you travel a lot, or if you just are in a position where you feel like maybe I'm going to go camping, whatever it may be. I know a lot of people camp and they don't want the internet, but let's just assume that you did, or you're in an RV, or you just like flying around the world a lot. You can take this little dude with you. It is plug and play, and you will be very happy you did so. Because I will tell you, you get into some countries and internet is just almost non-existent. And having this where you can just get your own little access and not be reliant on everything else around you is really, really nice. So also, don't lose sight of the satellite phones that they put out. They've got some great deals on these as well. The Iridium, this one right here is the phone that I have. It's a 9555. Absolutely love it. It is just a very good quality phone. Or you can get the Inmarsat Shield. That's the Max 150. And that one is this right here. That's the one my brother has, and he loves it. And this is kind of like the old operator community. You always see him flipping the little dealio up out there in the middle of the sandbox. So the Inmarsat, again, great phone. And both of these, if you have and want to add these to your quiver, these are definitely good, capable phones that you can take with you anywhere around the world while you're on the go. So, okay, remember, sat123.com. That's sat123.com. So let's jump on over here to Sky Glass as we get into the deets. Looking at around 226 aircraft up now. I'm going to pull the total number and by count here just to give you the back of the napkin. Text 2s, I've got 80 of those up. EC 45s, 32. T38s, 30. So there are a lot of trainers that I've stripped out. It is a beautiful day for flying. Some of the obvious stuff that you will see when we kick it up to the side, just the fact that we still have our Intel bird that is, a balloon that is over the Gulf of America, right? And you will note that the Gulf of America is now in play here. All right. I get so many times people go, hey, man, it says Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, some of mine still do, but this one on Sky Glass, he got it adjusted, and it is accurate now. So this piece too, notice this is a priority air transport that is flying into what looks to be Guantanamo Bay. Again, we've got some pretty bad guys that have been taken down to that location. As we get into some of the other stuff now, you may remember we were talking about the fact that the U.S. was getting ready to take a bunch of bad people over to Libya, which would have been all Middle Easterners, and drop them off. And Libya said, don't do it. We won't take them. We don't want your bad guys. Even though they probably came from there, but, it's, eyes on it. That's all I'm going to say. We got a lot of mosque stuff popping up all over the United States in record amounts. So we are being invaded here in the United States, and that is probably going to be your largest threat. You hear cartels and gangs, et cetera. Yeah, they're bad. But fundamentally, you put the mosque into play, then you start getting stealth jihad. You start getting all of your Sharia law and people going into office and trying to change the landscape here politically. So it's just as bad in its own, style, so to speak. Okay. All right. Now let's kind of peel this back some. We're going to start off in the Intel community, and we'll be over looking at South Korea, and they have been very eyes on North Korea as of late, getting out over the Yellow Sea, looking very deep into North Korea. Of course, they've got exercises and a lot of things happening over there. You'll see some stuff happening up here on the northern side of Australia. You get a little bit there in Malaysia. Israel is going hot and heavy into Gaza yet again. And then you can see some stuff there out off the toe of Italy down towards the Med. And then stuff going all the way to the north near Russia. All right. And then take a look at this. You've got, and this is the part, we'll tie this to the story. Pay attention to it. This over Atlanta, I've been showing you a lot. It's the last 5 days. It is kind of over more along that border of Tennessee and Georgia. All right. And that will tie into play here in just a minute because I've shown you they've been doing a lot of intel gathering over Tennessee, watching some folks over Atlanta, over the southeast. Look at all of the traffic just flying around from an intel gathering perspective over the United States over the last 5 days. Very active. This is key to the roundup of the bad individuals here in our country. Okay. Drone activity. You'll see starting out over Japan, little active as always, nothing down under. And then we jump over to this side of the house, and you'll see that there is a little blip there, kind of around Doha where Trump is. And then you'll see, too, that you've got low altitude stuff looking at Libya. We'll talk about that in the news here in just a minute. And some stuff coming out of the Malta area or that very southern point of Italy headed over towards Israel. Nothing over Europe. Very unusual. 5 days of no drone activity over Europe. Don't buy it. And then you can see clearly looking at something off the coastline of Southern California. Had some pretty big drug busts going on lately, so maybe that's tied to it. Again, this is the last 5 days of drone activity. You can see a little low altitude one there near Dothan, Alabama. All right, now let's look at R-135s. We'll start off over Europe, and you'll see just the normal stuff around Kaliningrad, up over Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, etc. Nothing down over the Middle East. Probably there. They're just not broadcasting their position. And then again over the Southern California, Baja side of the house with some SIG intel. Notice the two altitude shifts, one high altitude, one low altitude. And then, of course, up here over the Dakotas, looking into Montana, Wyoming, etc. All right. Now, let's go over to AWACS. And you'll see we've got quite a bit of activity over, again, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. A lot of man-in-the-middle circles there. Remember, this is an advanced warning aircraft, so they may be also looking very closely at Belarus, out over the North Sea, out over the Norwegian Sea. Again, 5 days worth of traffic. And then, of course, you can see right up to the Texas border, 2 locations, out over the Gulf of America. In that danger box area, they seem to be looking very closely at that. And then off the coast of California, out over the Pacific. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take us down under for a minute, and I'll just show you the latest traffic for those. We got quite a few Australians that follow us, so you'll see a little bit of work there off of Perth, and then wrapping around the bottom of Australia off to the east coast towards Sydney, up towards Brisbane. And then a little bit there, punch outs headed eastbound. And then you'll see some stuff headed up into the Southeast Asia area, Philippines, etc. Nothing over Europe, but then you get over the United States, you'll notice some transitions there out of Southern California near Vegas. What looks to be headed into Greenville, South Carolina, that's probably a maintenance visit if I was a betting man. At least I hope it is. But anyway, and you can see doing a little bit of stuff around that coastline as well, where we've seen the AWACS and the R-135s doing stuff. Okay, now I'm going to show you the fuel, all right, in terms of the tankers, right? Just notice 5 days worth. Okay, we just had a squadron of F-35Bs head into Japan. That is going to be your Stovall variant, right? So that's going to be the one that hovers. All right. See a little bit of transition there to Australia. Some stuff going into Doha. All right, a little bit breaking out over the Red Sea. So we got air refueling out over that area, big indicator of fighters. And then you can see kind of a heavy flow going into Turkey, into Europe, down across the Mediterranean, and even down to the Ivory Coast of Africa. Okay, and then we'll take us over here to CONUS. And you're going to notice very active coming out of Hawaii. Look up and off the west coast of California. That's a lot of air refueling, a lot of fighter activity off of the California coastline. A lot of stuff going on over that danger area over the Gulf of America. And then you'll see those transitions that head over to Europe. And that's, again, pretty big indicator we're moving fighters. We got a lot of exercises happening over there. So that is probably the reason why you'll see all of that, okay? All right, let's talk news here for a minute as we get into this part. I showed you the low-altitude intel flights off the Mediterranean just north of Libya. Well, here is why. Heavy fighting again erupts in the capital of a fractured Libya. Now, this is over on Zero Hedge. But, yeah, it looks like they are back into their little civil war mode. Looks like they had an emergency alert urging residents to stay indoors. They had a warlord that was killed. And it is, again, just a fractured state. Not a surprise when you look at what's happening over there. But remember, we were trying to drop off some bad guys into this environment, which would have been pretty comical. Of course, the bad guys, I don't know if they just let them run on the street, because I think probably most of the people there are bad guys, but or if they put them in jails. I don't know what the plan was there. Clearly not well thought out, but nonetheless, it is definitely something to keep eyes on as this seems to be yet another hot spot, kind of like the Arab Spring. Remember all of that craziness. Okay, this is Trump's calendar. We'll get over. You can see he is hot and heavy in the Middle East, in and out of Doha. He's in Abu Dhabi, etc. And if you look at everything that's been going on, you just kind of take a look at the flights and the reception he has been getting. It's been pretty cool. You will see these are some, I think, Qatari F-15s that were given an escort, but we had F-16s and a whole bunch of different things. 6 of them around his aircraft, right off the wing. It has got to be just a fantastic sight to look out and see that as he is coming into country or moving around the Middle East. Again, pretty cool little sight. But let me just show you from the command standpoint, all of the flight and traffic as he was heading over there. Now you'll see stuff going into Riyadh. You'll see some traffic headed down into Doha. Notice it goes around Israel. It doesn't fly straight over Israel and Jordan straight into Riyadh. Could have, but for some reason they went around Israel. I thought that was kind of an interesting little data point for you. So, you see something that looks like it leaves out of Doha headed up to Turkey. Now, remember that Istanbul, that's where Zelensky and the Russians are meeting today. Okay, so maybe we got somebody from State Department headed over there that was maybe accompanying Trump that broke away from the sessions. But you'll just see the flow of things headed across the drink there, okay? So it is glaringly obvious that the fact that he is not meeting at all with Bibi. I mean, I certainly think there's something amiss there. Rumor had it that Netanyahu at one point had fighters actually running. I mean, like you're talking idling on the tarmac, getting ready to take off to go take out some of the Iranian nuclear sites. And they didn't, tell Trump about it. And he's in the middle of trying to broker a deal with the Iranians. And I think that may be what happened and caused things to go south. So Trump has a method to his madness. There's no two ways about it. He does things to make it glaringly obvious to kind of get people back to center point. And we'll go through some of the stories here as I show you how things are shaping up when it comes to his trip here to the Middle East so far. So Trump agrees to billions in weapons sales and investments with Saudi Arabia. Now, remember, Saudi Arabia's got a big Vision 2025 thing going. They're working with a lot of people trying to boost their economy. And I know that probably just sent little flags going off in some of your head, when I said Vision 2025. But we're here. That is now, right? This is the year of 2025. So some say it's been moved out. I don't know. Saudi's still pressing forward with it, as are a multitude of people around the world. So eyes on it. Don't lose sight of it, okay? But you can see he's got quite the chummy friendship going with the Prince of Saudi. And this guy is going to become key to the Abraham Accords, all right? So now we get back over here to this side. Trump, Qatar, signed major declaration, a $200 billion deal. I saw somebody yesterday, I think it was UAE, talking about $1 trillion deal working with Trump. So let's just wait and see what shakes loose when this is all said and done. But we want to definitely be talking about a couple other things too, because when you start talking about the Middle East, the biggest, most crucial part is Israel, right? Everything. They are the hinge behind everything in the Middle East, all right? And surrounded by their enemies for that matter, all right? So, but look at this. Iran is the one that we probably ought to be worried more about than anybody else over there. But you don't turn your back on Israel, right? And so here we go. We got U.S., and this is Trump saying it, is close to a deal with Iran. I don't know how accurate that is. I think he is just kind of trying to paint a picture that gives hope. But if I get over here to the map and you start looking at some of this, let me just go through some of the things that have happened. All right. So Israel has told the U.S. officials now is the perfect time to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. That may have been tied to the aircraft on the tarmac getting ready to go launch a strike. But then you get over here to this side, and what does Trump say? He says Iran is the most destructive force in the Middle East. Yeah, I think we know that. But then you say here, Trump says the same thing. Here we go. We're trying to reach an agreement with Iran, but they have to move much, much faster. All right. I don't think it's going as smooth as everybody says, because you start to read some of the other very long, lengthy ones like this, for example, and it's become evident that Iran is really kind of pushing back from the table because Trump is leveraging them, and I don't think they like it at all. All right. And he wants to see complete disarmament of all of their military capability in terms of missiles, in terms of nuclear program. I mentioned the other day the fact that Iran is with respect to their uranium processing, all right, getting to a weapon-grade uranium, you only have to have 3.75% to get there. They're at 60%. So they are absolutely working a multi-faceted route, one for nuclear weapons, one for nuclear energy. So, but I think this is where the rubber's going to meet the road. At the end of the day, we will probably end up taking out all of these sites if I was a betting man. If it's not us, it'll be Israel, all right? And they may just go alone without the United States. Okay, let's get on to this part. This is interesting because if you know anything about solar panels, most of what we get comes out of China. So this is a report coming out. It says U.S. engineers are finding rogue communication devices in Chinese solar panels. So things that are on your roof, things that are used by our gas companies, all kinds of different uses for these solar panels. If they've got the ability for them to circumvent the firewalls and basically remotely control and do things with these solar panels, which basically gives them access to the major systems, that's a big problem. It says the rogue components provide additional undocumented communication channels that could allow firewalls to be circumvented remotely with potentially catastrophic consequences. Yeah, they're talking about taking down power grids here in the United States because of this. All right, moving on. Okay, we talked about the flights that were going in and around kind of the northern end of Atlanta over at that altitude. It would have been looking at everything from Nashville down to Atlanta, all over the place, okay? So it looks like ICE agents have arrested nearly 200 criminal illegals in Nashville, including wanted killers, rapists, and drug dealers. Now, the interesting thing is we were talking just in one of the last SITREPs about the fact that there was a tremendous amount of H-60 traffic in that region between Tennessee and Atlanta, along that northern border all the way up into Tennessee. More than likely, that's what just took place. So pretty cool. It's a good thing. 200 of them. So you can imagine the beatdown that just happened when all these folks got arrested. And where they head, time will tell. We may see some flights going into Guantanamo Bay, maybe Biggs Army Airfield, but we'll have to keep an eye on it to see if anything comes out of Nashville to those locations. Okay, let's talk about danger boxes. I showed you the SITREP. Sorry, not SITREP, the SITREP. This is the SITREP. The signal intelligence flights down, the AWACS flights down off the Southern California coastline, looking clearly at ship traffic. So, and then of course we've got a lot of exercises happening right now all over Europe and down into Africa. And then of course you can see the cover up here just around Saudi Arabia over into Doha. That's because Trump is going to be in theater for a little bit. So, okay, now let's do this. I'm going to take us on over here to basically the marine traffic view. And we've been getting together, just showing you all of the ships that have just been parked. Right now, we heard that a lot of the tariffs had been basically put on a 90-day hold with China, and that we would agree down to list 10% on both sides. So what we should see are the flow of goods starting to take shape again. And we do still have quite a bit that is parked, but you can see things are starting to kind of break loose and move yet again. So, all right, now let me take you over here to the Southern California side, and I'll show you, this is the spot. You notice the traffic flows that are coming right past the West Coast, right? And then coming down into Panama or down into South America. This is what we're watching, the ship traffic, right? There are a lot of our enemies that have these container missile systems, whether it's Club K or whether it's the Chinese version, the Iranian version, etc. My guess is that's why we're looking so closely at stuff that passes out here, as well as what is going on out here in the Gulf of America. Okay, let's talk spend, right? We see us selling a lot of things over into the Middle East, probably due to the tensions that are happening. I think they all kind of are, you know, they have their finger on the pulse when it comes to what's happening with the United States within their own countries, and probably feel like, hey, we probably need to step our game up as well. But the other piece too, Trump just announced this new, we saw F-47, we've seen F-55 fighter jets. These are going to be 6th gen fighter jets, right? F-35 is a 5th gen. Now, the difference in what they're talking about here is just the fact that it's going to be a simple upgrade to the F-35. So basically, they're taking something that has the same systems as the F-35, but they're going to put 2 engines in it, and it'll have Super Cruise, etc. Well, I got news for you. There's already a plane out there that exists that is better than the F-35, that has Super Cruise, that has 2 engines. It's called the F-22. So, you know, most of what is inside the cockpit on the F-35 came from the F-22, folks. And so the fact that we're pushing out an F-55, I just don't get it. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. I will tell you the reason that the F-35 has a single engine is because of cost, all right? Weight, cost, etc. But I will tell you the F-35, if you go look at it flying beside an F-16, the F-35 basically is at full mil power, and the F-16 is at full afterburners, just trying to keep up with it. So the F-35's got some giddy up. Is it as fast as the F-22 with Super Cruise? Absolutely not. But they're talking about actually modifying F-22s as well. You know, the F-22 is out of production. They haven't made them in a little while, other than maybe replacement ones. But they basically dismantled the F-22 production line, moved it out to Marietta, and then they moved in the F-35, and then they slowly tapered back on the F-22 to where it's mods, etc. Just not producing a lot of F-22s. There's only one customer for them. It's U.S. Air Force, and they don't have no money. They got no monies, man. So F-35 still got a lot of issues. So us pushing out all additional new F-55s and 47s or super F-22s, I don't know. We're just gearing up for war. And this is how you stimulate the economy. You just start, spending like nobody's business, right? War is an economy. Okay, Navy leaders look to expand munition options as supplies run low. We've been talking about this for a while. It happened during the Biden administration when we just gave everything to Ukraine, and now we don't have enough to go fight our own wars. And it's not just us. NATO's in the same position. And so everybody is just trying to get things back on the shelf, all right? Okay, taking a look at the camber flights, you can see a lot of stuff headed out of Ramstein over to Terceira Island as well as Baltimore, and then this one is taking off out of Shannon, Ireland. So we got a handful of things on the move. Get over to the Brits. They too are on the move. They've got quite a few flights out over Europe, all the way up headed. That one looks like it's coming out of maybe Finland or something along those lines. But you can see quite a few of their transports up right now. Now, speaking of the UK, and this is one I just don't understand. The UK flies Protector drone outside the main operating base for the first time. Protector drone. Look at this. It is a spitting image of the Q9, all right, Reaper drone. Looks just like it. So I guess I don't understand how all of these countries seem to have the exact same design as the United States, including North Korea. All right. So nonetheless, they got their own drone now popping up. So we'll keep our eye on that as those enter into the fleet. Okay. Ramstein, as you can see, get down a little further. A lot of camera flights in and out of that location. A couple 747s there. That's an Atlas Air leaving round robin. So it's coming into Dover, out of Dover into Ramstein and back to Dover. And then there's some look to be troop movers, 767-300s. Okay, let's move on. Now, RZE Poland, big thing, just take away German Air Forces in there. Let me see who this is. Sky Taxi. The Brits are in and out. There is actually National Cargo 747 coming out of Kennedy, JFK. And then another one, that's a camera flight coming out of Dover. So don't know what we're bringing in, maybe some more artillery, etc. But this could be stuff that they actually bought and we're just delivering it. All right. Okay. Turkish president's meeting with Ukrainian counterpart concludes. So they already met, and now they're setting up for the Russians. But looks like Erdogan has basically met with Zelensky, and now we wait for the next piece. Now, this is where it kind of goes a little bit south, because Trump makes a statement here. He says basically Ukraine-Russia war, it says the peace deal is not going to happen until Putin and I get together. So Trump has already acknowledged he's going to be meeting with Putin, and this is going to be a topic of conversation. So we'll see how that goes when the two of them meet. But it looks like Zelensky is out trying to broker his own deal without the United States. And let's see, this is the Russian delegation. So Putin doesn't come out, right? So Zelensky's meeting with his delegates. They arrive in Istanbul for the Ukrainian talks. Let's see if it makes any progress. My guess is it's going to just go south. They won't agree to anything. They'll get probably both of them on both sides will be butthurt level Bravo, and it'll end that way. All right. Okay. Look, we just talked about the air refuelers that were headed over. You saw a lot of the traffic around Japan, et cetera. So it looks like the Marines just parked their next fighter squadron of F-35Bs in Japan. You can see them touching down right here. And again, this is the aircraft that has the ability to kind of short takeoff, vertical landing. And of course, it looks like a transformer when it gets all opened up, right? Okay. And I think that's it, folks. Well, look, we're going to bow out, running right at the 30-minute mark. So hopefully everybody has a great rest of your Thursday. And we will see you over the weekend on Patreon for the Monkey Minute and the Saturday Sit Rep. So that's it. You guys keep that powder dry. Stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out.